Due to all the political theater going on, I haven't seen anything worth sharing on the blog or even in video lately, as I hate politics. Except, of course, when what they do actually confirms prophetic utterance. And in this case, all that we see happening has to do with the soon-to-come Roman Catholic religious laws I have spoken about quite often the last few decades. I have quite a few videos on this, as well as scripture showing that the mark of the beast is in fact Sunday laws. Hence the reason every time the mark of the beast is mentioned in scripture, the word worship is right there with it. And so, that all being said, were you aware that there is in fact a prophetic statement in the Ten Commandments which connects directly to Sunday laws in the end of days? Now, as we know, the Lord created all that is seen and unseen within 6 literal days. In fact, science just recently confirmed that. And then he rested and sanctified the 7th day, which is, of course, the Sabbath. The 7th-day Sabbath is an eternal memorial each week that reminds us of all that he has done for us in Creation Week. When we obey him, we acknowledge him as our God. As we look around and see the trees, the animals, the oceans, the sky, and even our loved ones, we realize all of this was the end result of his creating all of what we see. Psalms 111, verse 4, clearly says, "He hath made his wonderful works to be remembered." The Lord is gracious and full of compassion. When we remember his Sabbath, we are acknowledging him as our creator. According to the 4th commandment, this is our duty as Christians. In fact, Ecclesiastes 12, verses 13 and 14 says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." And then verse 14 says, "For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil." And for those claiming that this is no longer valid as the whole duty of man because it's found in the Old Testament, I purposely left in verse 14 to show you that in the very same breath of mentioning your duty to keep his commandments, the final judgment is then mentioned in how you are keeping them. Now, notice this. In commandment number 4, there is a single word that is in fact one amazing prophetic statement that exposes the Sunday law mark of the beast in a very big way. Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 to 11 is in fact commandment number 4. It says this, "Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." Now, yes, there is another reason the word remember is being used here in this passage that many Christians fail to discover due to the fact that they are attending churches led by the many false prophets we were all warned about. In Isaiah 46:10, it says, "Our God is declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure." Well, since the Lord knows the end from the beginning, it is obvious he knew we would be taught to forget his Sabbath near the end of time. That's why he put the word remember right there at the beginning of commandment number 4. We can actually confirm this as fact when we see what his prophets said regarding this exact same topic. Daniel, for example, he predicted the following actions of the Vatican Church and State beast system of Revelation 17:3 when he said that the beast will think to change times and laws of God. They actually admit this in their archived writings, no less. See this video I made 2 years ago all about that. As we can clearly see now, most Christian churches do in fact keep Sunday holy instead of the Creator God's Sabbath each week. That means they are obeying, or as the Bible calls it, they are worshiping the creature, who is in fact their pastor, over and above the Creator. Worse yet, these pastors preach Sunday as Sabbath, knowing there's not a single verse to even hint at the Creator changing his Sabbath. Now, yes, they do take many verses out of context to make it appear it was changed, but opening a Bible easily exposes the lie. In fact, I made 3 9-minute videos back in 2008 putting all their twisted verses back into context here. I even offered $5,000 cash to the preachers in a video back in November of 2017, asking them for just one Bible verse to prove the Sabbath was ever changed. Not a single preacher, teacher, pastor, theologian, or even a doctor of divinity was ever able to supply a single verse. The Sabbath is within the heart of the law of God for a reason. When we see all the churches following after the beast in Rome and his Sabbath, just as was prophesied they would do in Revelation 13:3, we see that, yes, the Lord is saying we need to remember his Sabbath because the churches have indeed been taught to forget it, exactly as prophecy said they would. He saw the end from the beginning. The word remember in Exodus 20 verse 8 is in fact a prophetic statement that actually saw the beginning of its life on March 7th, 321 AD, when Constantine, under the direction of the Bishop of Rome, passed the first Sunday laws to mix paganism with Christianity, as was also prophesied. And so Satan has actively been using this false Sabbath to do his hellish work so as to cause it to boil up to its final war against the obedient people of God in our day. And for those of you that don't think this is going to happen, well, you're not going to have to wait too long, as I stated in a few videos, of which started with this one in July. If the Pope gets his wish, he will be able to enforce his Sunday laws using the bogus climate change agenda by 2027. Thank you for watching. God bless.